Good morning and happy Thursday. So today's question was, are you living a lie? This is what my topic is today. Now, my question of the day was, are you pretending to be happy? Are you truly happy or are you pretending to be happy? And if you're pretending, why? Now, everything that I've based, anything that I live off of, I teach off of now, it's the fake subconscious pretending that we do that we have to show up a certain way because we don't want to uproot somebody else. Now, I'm going to tell you uproot them. I'm going to tell you to stop allowing other people to dictate how you show up. Stop allowing people to shift your energy. And if you're in a position to where you're in a relationship, you're in a job, yes, sometimes we get into, like, I joined the military. Is the military really miserable? No, yes, maybe so. But it's all how you perceive everything, because we allow everybody, we go to work, we allow the people at that job, they're unhappy, you're unhappy. You're in a relationship, something doesn't go right, you're mad. And if it's not fixed, you're still mad. It's like we live in a place to where we allow our feelings to control us. And yes, feelings control us, but when are you going to take control of your feelings? When are you going to allow yourself to say, you know what? This didn't turn out the way I wanted to, but am I going to let this be my end all be all? Am I going to sit in a place where I am upset all day because of something that happened at 8 o'clock this morning? I could tell you that I used to live in that space where I get mad, and I was mad all damn day. For what? Don't know. Just because that was what I was not taught, but that's what I saw. They got mad, they stayed mad. And it's, even when I was married, my ex-husband says, you hold a grudge. I'm not holding a grudge. I'm just disgusted that it didn't work out the way I wanted to. But in reality, that disgust, I no longer have that, because I'm like, what you feel is what you feel, and I keep it moving. Now, we get into situations where people can't handle how you show up. That is not your problem. It is not your problem to try to dictate or shift how you are because people can't handle you. Energy is everything. And the moment you allow yourself to energetically show up differently because of somebody else, that is when you start to allow somebody else to control you. People will always say what they have to say. You have to remember, if you're in a place, another person's in a place. We're all human beings. But how do you let that other person or other people dictate you? Right? When you say, today is the day, I'm going to do something different, I'm going to show up differently. And then subconsciously, you still keep yourself held in that same space because you believe that the thing that you want is not for you. It's not possible for you. And until you figure out what your shift is going to be, how do you get out of that unhappy place? How do you shift how you show up? And I want to tell you, it's not going to happen overnight. And a lot of us, we want things to happen today. Like I said, I want it now, I want it now. Okay, that's me. It may not be you, but we want immediate results, but we don't consistently do the thing. We don't consistently show up. We don't consistently remember that I can control how I show up in every situation. I went to, I did a substituting at a school, and I even in the military. So I would go in, I went in the morning and I said, good morning. The teacher sitting in the office that the other teacher shared with, she's like, oh no, don't come in here with that. And I was so thrown back, like, I'm sorry, what is that? What I've learned in my life is I don't assume anything about anybody else. Yes, you look at somebody and you half judge, right? Like, not saying I'm perfect, but you look at somebody and be like, oh, you judging them already immediately. But I've learned to ask the question, because I can assume a lot by what somebody says, how they look. And that's the thing, right? We make an assumption by somebody, how they look, we make an assumption. So I said, what does that mean? Like, I'm not sure what that means. She was like, oh no, just this isn't a place. They're unhappy here. And I'm like, but that doesn't have anything to do with me. And I literally told her that. That doesn't have anything to do with me. And she's like, oh yeah, if you come in there happy, these kids will eat you up. I said, let me explain something to you. Because I feel as though you make an assumption. She made an assumption off of me being happy. What I'm not going to do is change my happiness because you're miserable, right? And I said, let me explain something to you. I said, 20 years of the military. I said, I'm never going to change how I show up because of a space that I go into that is not ready for how I show up. And she's like, oh, yeah, yeah. She tried to like backpedal and be like, oh, that's not what I mean. No, you should have never said it out your mouth. But keep it moving, right? I said something else and it was like, she's like, oh yeah, I went and did the class, came back in. She's like, oh, how was it? It was good. Like what are you doing? You're in a space with kids where and that's the thought process, right? No matter what is, if it's in a space, if you yourself are teaching your own child how to respond to things by the way you do it, as a teacher, as a human being, how we show up is showing everybody else that it's okay, right? These kids come in school, you wake up in the morning, you're miserable, you're unhappy. You're showing your children, you're showing the world that's who you are. That's the identity you've taken on, and that's who you show up as. Now, for me, I'm going to tell you, I no longer want to be identified by that. I no longer want to be identified by unhappiness or let that one thing uproot me. Like, take a breath. Yes, we get disappointed quickly. And when I tell you, I got a really, 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 really high expectations. And those high expectations, they sometimes, I'm not going to say they fail me, but they fail me because it's like, man, you want people to do better. You want people to want better. And I can't force anybody else to want better, to do better, to be happy, to do all the things. So for me, my title of this is, Are You Living a Lie? Because are you living this life showing up unhappy because of your circumstances, right? Like, we all go through things. We all have a past. Some has a rougher past than the other, but your past does not define who you are. And when you're living a lie, you're living to what somebody else says you should be doing. Why? Why do we do that? And why do we hold on to that like a badge of honor? And I just released my new ebook, The Unapologetic Woman. Now, here's the thing. In the beginning, I tell some of my story, and it is not me playing the victim anymore, because it was back in the day, this is what he did to me. This is what he did to me. This is what I allowed him to do to me, because I could have walked away. And here I'm listening, I'm hearing the people say, it's not that easy to walk away. You're right. You are absolutely right. But in the end, we stay miserable in relationships because we're comfortable, because it's the norm, right? But is that really your reality? Is that what you want to live? You're unhappy. You're always fighting. And even with friendships, you pretend, you get together, you talk, you do whatever you do, you go away, you talk about the other person. And it's like, why are you friends with this person that you feel as though you have to talk about when you walk away? And it's nothing good. So if you're unhappy, if you're miserable, why stay? Why allow yourself to continue to play the victim? Because you're not a victim. You're intentionally choosing to stay in a place that no longer serves you. And here's a hit again. We're going to say it's hard to walk away, right? True, it is. But anything we make hard is hard. Anything we make easy is easy. Anything we set our minds to, and that is one thing you need to grasp. Anything you set your mind to, you have the power to shift it. It's just what you're choosing to replace that with. What are you believing for yourself? Anytime we sit here and we say, we can't do this, we can't do that, you're right. You can't. But if you chose to say, I'm going to figure this out. It may not happen overnight. I may fumble. I may fall. But I'm going to get the hell back up and I'm going to do what I need to do, because that's what you owe yourself. You owe yourself to stop lying to yourself, to stop pretending to be happy in a place you're not happy. That's the end game. Stop pretending that everything is okay when it really isn't. It's not. You don't have to live this life anymore. You don't have to. And yes, I'm going to tell you today, what are we at? March 27th. It may not change tomorrow. It may not change the next day, but if you just shift one thing each day, one little baby thing each day, look at how much differently your life will be. If it's even just thinking one day, like, okay, today's the day I can do one little thing, right? I can change one thing. Stop trying to change 100 things. Change one thing, because the success that you have comes from the shifts that you make and the small steps, not gigantically trying to jump off the bridge and fall because you didn't take the steps to get to where you need to go. Anyway, I hope you guys have an amazing Thursday, and allow yourself the grace when you set an intention to do that thing you want to do. Give yourself the grace that it's not going to happen overnight, but one change, small change, each day will get you to your end goal. I hope you guys have an amazing